What is going on, you guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about 5 boxing fights that I want to see happen in the near future. I understand that I know I'm like mostly an MMA, UFC channel, but I kind of want to implement boxing as well. Like I want to do not all combat sports, but I want to add boxing to the mix. So I want to kind of give you guys like my 5 fights that I want to see the most for boxing. I'm definitely for sure a casual. I'm going to say this right now, especially when you compare to UFC. I am for sure a casual in boxing. I've been getting into boxing though recently. Been watching pretty much every single Saturday. I'm going to be watching this Saturday between. I might even give you guys a prediction for Alexander Usyk versus Tyson Fury. So I'm super excited for that. But I want to give you guys 5 fights that I feel like are super doable, and I want to see these 5 fights for sure. Hopefully in the next few years. I have to be realistic because I feel like boxing fights sometimes don't really happen, and they don't happen quickly, especially the fights that you want to see. But coming off Saturday, Lomachenko beat George Kambosos and had a masterclass performance against George Kambosos. Loma did. I mean, Vasily Lomachenko is, to me, one of the best boxers on the planet, and he proved that against George Kambosos. He was just levels above Kambosos. And to be honest, Kambosos wasn't really all that great. He got, obviously a good victory, very good victory against Teofimo Lopez, but I don't think Teofimo was like 100% him that night, in my honest opinion. I feel like that he didn't take George Kambosos that seriously. He thought he was just going to knock him out, and that was it. But I feel like Lomachenko versus Tank Davis needs to happen more than ever. Because the reason why, listen, right now, Lomachenko, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is 36 years old. And we're not going to see a whole lot of Lomachenko, especially great Vasily Lomachenko. I understand that, I believe, Tank Davis has another fight right now against, I believe, Frank Martin, who is an undefeated fighter. Let me make sure if I'm correct. I believe, yeah, it is Frank Martin. His next fight against Gervonta Davis, that's happening on June 15th. Definitely going to be watching that. If he gets past, which I do believe Gervonta will get past, I believe his last fight was actually against Ryan Garcia, was Gervonta Davis. Oh yeah, that was against Ryan Garcia, which was last year on April 22nd. If he does get past, if Gervonta Davis gets past Frank Martin, I mean, right now more than ever, that has to happen. It seems like they might go a different route for Lomachenko. Lomachenko might fight as well, but I don't know who against exactly. They were talking about some fighters, not really too well known about who they are. But to me, Lomachenko versus Tank Davis is such an intriguing matchup. 2 completely different styles. A guy who hits really hard, who is a knockout artist, and Gervonta Davis, and somebody who has the best footwork in all of boxing, in my honest opinion. I think that the footwork of Lomachenko is better than anybody in boxing right now currently. And that might, I don't think that's a hot take. I think a lot of people probably might agree with that. But when I see Lomachenko fight, I've seen, a bunch of fights from Lomachenko. I've pretty much seen like the last 4 or 5 fights from him. He impresses me all the time. Even in his losses, I talked about the fight between him and Devin Haney being a robbery, because that fight was a robbery. I mean, in that fight, he displayed amazing footwork. He outclassed Devin Haney 100% and won that fight, in my honest opinion. And this is to me, this is like his first time defending his belts or whatever. I'm not, by the way, well too versed in who is champions of. There's so many divisions, so many companies in boxing. I can't keep up with everything. So give me some time and I'm going to work on that. But that's besides the point. But a guy who is, to me, I believe he's I don't know if he's a lot faster than Tank, because Tank is a really fast fighter. Like, he hits really hard and fast. And obviously, he can definitely put away Lomachenko. But Lomachenko, he's just so quick, and his footwork is amazing. If anybody's going to be able to kind of nullify Tank, it is Lomachenko 100%. I think that's a very intriguing fight. And you have to do it soon. And in the next year, in my honest opinion. By 2025, they should do that fight. They should announce that fight. And hopefully that happens, because that fight to me makes a lot of sense, and it makes a lot of money in my opinion. I think I will definitely be in attendance for that shit. You know what I mean? Not in attendance, but I'll definitely be watching it for sure. I'm super excited for that. So that's one of the fights. The next fight is Ryan Garcia, who's coming off a victory against Devin Haney, against Teofimo Lopez. They've been talking about Ryan Garcia and Errol Spence. And that's a fight definitely for sure that is interesting. It is. Like, it really is. I really do want to see that fight as well. But I think that Errol Spence is just a lot better than Ryan Garcia. And Ryan Garcia is going to have to go up into the division, which is fine because I feel like he'll be more comfortable at 147. But, I mean, Errol Spence, to me, is just a better boxer than Garcia. I think he would just outclass Garcia. Teofimo Lopez is a great boxer, too. Teofimo Lopez has the capabilities. You know what I mean? And he's a great boxer. But to me, I like Teofimo and Ryan Garcia. That fight, to me, makes so much sense. It's unbelievable. I mean, they're both in the same division. I believe, they're both at 140 pounds. Here's the deal. They could do a catch weight. I feel like at 143, 145, I don't know if they do that all the time in boxing. I don't think they probably do that a whole lot. They kind of just are set in their own divisions. But still, even then, like, what's wrong with a fight that's catch weight between these two guys? A fight that, to me, is more unpredictable than a fight between Ryan Garcia and Errol Spence. I think Errol Spence just completely dominates and outclasses Ryan Garcia for 12 rounds, and he might even get a finish, possibly too. I just think, in my opinion, I think this is a more competitive fight. I think Teofimo and Ryan Garcia is a more competitive fight. I think it's two guys who are obviously pretty. I don't know if they're evenly matched. They are pretty evenly matched, if I'm being honest. I think they're pretty even on skill level. I think Teofimo is a little bit of a better boxer. I think, obviously, Garcia has the more power. But Teofimo can put you out, too. Teofimo has 13 KOs with 20 wins. It's not like he can't put you out. But, obviously, Garcia has 25 wins, 1 loss with 20 KOs, which is absolutely unbelievable. And he almost knocked out Devin Haney, who was undefeated at the time. So, in my opinion, you know, obviously Ryan Garcia has this whole situation with the PEDs. Was the Ostarine inside of a supplement, or what? Did he actually take Ostarine before the fight? That hasn't been settled yet. Hopefully that gets settled, and then we can see this fight, because this is a big-time fight, in my honest opinion, in, you know, I don't even know what, a junior welterweight, if I'm not mistaken? Yeah, junior welterweight. But like I said, catchweight 143, I think, obviously, that's a money fight. Teofimo, Ryan Garcia, makes a lot of sense. They're number 1 and number 2 in that division, so I think that they should do that, in my honest opinion. So, yeah, that's my second fight. My third fight is Terence Crawford, who is going to be fighting, I believe, Israel Madrimov, which I don't... Listen, Madrimov is in the 154-pound division. He is 10-0-1. I don't know if there's like a draw or a no contest. I don't know what that fight was. He did get a TKO, I believe, in the 5th round in his last fight. But he's going to be fighting, Terence Crawford's fighting Israel Madrimov, okay? I don't care about all that. Terence Crawford versus Jaron Boots Ennis is absolutely fantastic. Listen, I think Terence Crawford does beat. And I know a lot of people are going to say this, by the way, that Terence Crawford should fight Canelo, but how does that make any sense? Like, here's the deal. Here's the problem with Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. Canelo is like multiple divisions higher. I understand. I don't know if they're the same. They might be the same height. But right now, in my opinion, Canelo should be focused on fighting somebody else. And we'll get to Canelo. I have a fight for Canelo in my next fight, who he should fight next. That fight, obviously, big time. Canelo and Terence Crawford, they're two of the best boxers on the planet. They're like arguably number 1 and 2. Arguably. Not saying that they are, but they arguably you can make a case for both of them being number 1 and 2. Which I believe Terence Crawford is the best boxer on the planet, in my honest opinion. But Boots Ennis is, I believe, 31-0. He's 31-0 with 28 knockouts. Got a KO in the 10th round. And I saw his last fight where he got the knockout victory in the 10th round, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. His movement is so clean. He obviously, to me, like, can he put away Crawford? I don't think so. But to me, this is a very tough but intriguing matchup for Terence Crawford. And I think that's a fight that makes sense. Obviously, in the division, they're both in the same division at 147 pounds. And Boots Ennis, to me, looks impressive. Boots Ennis, like, he has great movements. He sticks and moves. He kind of, like, he will definitely have Crawford thinking. He can definitely give Crawford a lot of problems. Obviously, I think Crawford wins the fight because Terence Crawford is just, like, he's just a different beast. But it's a fight, to me, that I can definitely see Terence Crawford has some problems. And he can definitely, like, I'm not saying he will get rocked by Boots Ennis, but Boots Ennis has 28 knockouts. And for what I've seen from him, I've seen, like, that fight and then some highlights as well. He looks super impressive. I am impressed by Jaron Ennis. I think that fight makes a lot of sense. I think Terence Crawford, when he beats Madrimov, let's just be honest, he's going to beat Madrimov. I think he's going to probably knock him out and win that fight. I think Crawford needs to go and fight Boots Ennis. Canelo, listen, if he wants to do that fight, sure. Like, obviously, that's even better than to me than this. Obviously, that's huge. Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, like, literally two guys that are on, like, pretty much at the peak of their careers right now, pretty much. I mean, I would just say, like, Canelo's definitely a lot older. I would say peak of his career was, like, a few years ago. Like second fight against Triple G, that to me was the best Canelo that there is, in my opinion. So, him and Caleb Plant, obviously he was great there, as well, but that's besides the point. But yeah, I think Crawford, obviously the best boxer on the planet versus Jaron Ennis, who is to me a tough matchup, makes a lot of sense. They're both in the same division, and I would love to see that fight. I would definitely be seated for that as well. I think that would be great. And I think they want to make that fight. I think that fight makes a lot of sense, and I think they want to make that fight as well. I think that might be the next fight after Crawford beats Madrimov, which he will. Let's just be honest, he will. And then Ennis, I don't know if Jaron Ennis has the next fight to be announced, so he doesn't have anything announced yet. Crawford has his fight in August. I can see at end of the year, Jaron Ennis just wait around for somebody. Wait around for Terence Crawford, and you can do that maybe in November or December. And that will be fantastic for the sport, in my honest opinion. That would be a great fight. And then maybe after Canelo, I don't know. We'll see with that. But for me, Canelo Alvarez should fight David Benavidez. I've been watching a whole lot of videos on this shit. Apparently, Canelo is ducking David Benavidez. I guess. I don't know. It does look like it. I'm not going to lie. I like Canelo. I'm a big Canelo guy. I'm a big fan of Canelo. He's a great fighter, great boxer, one of the best boxers on the planet. But, like, he's talking about, I want $200 million to fight David Benavidez. Listen, buddy, you're not fighting Floyd Mayweather. You're not fighting, like, it's not like David Benavidez is, like, extremely, like, obviously in the boxing world, if you know boxing, you know who David Benavidez is. And David Benavidez is a fucking beast. I've seen some, I don't blame Canelo for not fighting him yet and asking for that much money, because that is a dangerous fight. He's 28-0 with 24 KOs. He fights on June 15th, by the way. And he's, like, huge. I don't know how tall he is. I believe David Benavidez is, like, very tall, if I'm not mistaken. Like, I think he's, like, a lot taller than, obviously, Canelo Alvarez. And he, to me, poses the most problems because he's similar to Dimitri Bivol, who, Bivol was, like, I think he's, like, 6 feet tall, if I'm not mistaken. But I believe Benavidez is a lot taller. And I feel like, in my opinion, Benavidez gives Canelo the most problems just because of his height. He gives the most problems. I believe he's 6'2", 6 feet 2 inches tall, and has knockout power, and he's just extremely dangerous. He got a TKO in the 6th round against Demetrius Andrade in his last fight, November 25th. I haven't seen that fight, but I've seen pretty much a whole bunch of footage, a bunch of highlights, a bunch of knockout highlights by Benavidez. Dude, he is a fucking monster. There was, like, this highlight that I saw that he hit this guy and, like, his head was going like this. It looked fucking insane. It looked like something out of a movie. It didn't even look real to me. Like, it looked like that shit was, like, in Creed or something. That was ridiculous. He has power, and that's such an intriguing fight because obviously, Canelo, I don't think Canelo backs down against anybody, but David Benavidez, there's a reason why he's asking for $200 million because, like, that's a tough fight for Canelo. I think that they should do that fight and definitely do it soon. Listen, Canelo, right now, he's still kind of like in the prime of his career. He's still like a top-tier boxer. He showed that against Jaime Munguia, where I believe he definitely won that fight for sure and had a great performance, knocked Jaime Munguia down. Munguia had a great performance, but I still think that Canelo just outclassed him. And, yeah, I think, in my opinion, that fight between Benavidez and Canelo, that is huge. That is big time for the sport, and they need to do that fight. And finally, this fight is kind of funny, just kind of funny to me. I picked Isaac Cruz versus Devin Haney. Devin Haney obviously probably should take some time off. He should probably wait till later on this year to fight. He should probably wait till like later on, like late this year or maybe early 2025, because he definitely he got his ass whooped by Ryan Garcia. Because Isaac Cruz is a fucking machine. Isaac Cruz is slowly becoming like one of my favorite fighters. He had a great performance against Tank, and I understand that Tank was pretty much like injured. He injured, I believe, his right hand during this fight, or his right or left. I think is Tank left hand. I don't know. I think it was his left hand actually. I think Tank is left-handed, I believe. So he's orthodox. He's southpaw. Jesus Christ, I need to get my shit correct. But this fight to me is just funny because I just want to see Isaac Cruz knock out. I don't know. I don't like Devin Haney. I'm not a Devin Haney guy at all. I think that he's really boring. I'm not been impressed with like Devin Haney at all at like any of his fights. Yeah, he had a good performance against obviously Kambosos in both of those fights. That was probably to me the best performance that I've seen from him. But Kambosos have been proven to be kind of a fraud. And Isaac Cruz, listen, my respect will go up like by a lot if he takes that fight against Isaac Cruz, because Isaac Cruz hits like a fucking truck. He fought that one guy that fought Tank that got knocked out, and that was a great knockout. It was a pretty funny knockout too, if I'm being honest. I forgot his name. Let me see if I can find his name. But he got a really good victory in his last fight. And let me see if I can find the guy's name. I forgot his name. But it was a pretty funny like the way he knocked him out and stuff. It was pretty funny. Can't find him. Okay, never mind. Forget. But in my opinion, it's a very dangerous fight for Devin. But Devin could for sure, in my opinion, he can definitely just be patient, be able to use his jab in a very, very good way, be able to kind of, his movement. Obviously, he has to work on, like, to me, Devin Haney has to work on a lot of things. There was a lot of weaknesses that were shown, especially in that Ryan Garcia. I mean, there was a lot of weaknesses shown in that Lomachenko fight. His movement is definitely a little iffy, but listen, going back and fighting a guy like Isaac Cruz as your first fight back would definitely give you a lot of credibility. A lot of people will be like, "Oh, he's not afraid to fight dangerous fighters," because you went going from a really hard hitter, heavy puncher in Ryan Garcia to then fighting. I mean, look, 3 fighters in a row. I mean, Lomachenko, Garcia, and if you fight Isaac Cruz, I give all my respect to Devin Haney if he does that. If he just goes back to back to back and fights. If he fights Isaac Cruz, after this fight, if he does decide to fight Isaac Cruz after, his obviously loss against Ryan Garcia. I think it's a fight, to me, that it makes sense in the division, in my honest opinion. I would love to see that fight, and I think Isaac Cruz has a chance to knock out Devin Haney. But Isaac Cruz, to me, is definitely really tough because Isaac Cruz is a lot smaller. Obviously, I think he's a lot shorter than Devin Haney, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So it's going to be a lot tougher. I think it's still a pretty competitive matchup for the most part. I will probably pick Isaac Cruz to win, but I can definitely see Devin Haney kind of get back to his form, to winning form, and just kind of outpoint Isaac Cruz for 12 rounds. Obviously, that fight is mostly because I can see Isaac Cruz knock out Devin Haney. And that would be great. Because listen, I just don't listen. Devin Haney, he thinks he's really good. He's not. He's a solid boxer, But like when you compare him to others, he's not on the level of like obviously a Garcia. He's not on the level of a Tank. He's not on the level of Lomachenko. Isaac Cruz, I mean, he's obviously better than like Kambosos, but he's like on even level playing field. He might even be worse than Isaac Cruz, but that's why I feel like this fight makes a lot of sense because these guys are pretty evenly matched, in my honest opinion, and I think that fight makes a lot of sense, especially given the division right now. So do Devin Haney next versus Isaac Cruz. So that's my 5 fights. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys want more boxing content? Let me know in the comment section below. But I'll see you guys soon with another video. Peace out.